When was the last time you did something where you felt connected in the moment? Most often, the things we do become robotic, or because we are influenced to think we should do it. Everyone else is doing it. Maybe this is the way to happiness. Rarely do we think for ourselves. The beauty in life is that we have a choice to view it in many perspectives, which makes it so colorful and meaningful. Today, I encourage you to explore, or maybe re-explore, the way you live by the simple changes that can awaken something you have forgotten. Hi loves, how's it going? My name is Anne. Welcome to my channel. I just got back from a very long road trip. I went from California back to Massachusetts, where I used to live, and then from Massachusetts back to California. So it was really interesting to kind of see the world as we go through another lockdown. But yeah, when I came back home, I learned that we were in our third lockdown or shutdown. I was very frustrated, but I didn't want to allow myself to get back into that kind of mindset or to get darker or deeper than I know I can get. So I wanted to explore other things that I can do at home, things that will occupy my mind and put me in a better state of thinking and enjoy life more, instead of just always focusing on the things that that are very negative and that doesn't bring me any joy, that doesn't serve me. I wanted to, introduce things that I can try out. And so I'm sharing these with you. They're nothing new, they're nothing innovative, but I find like videos like this are great ways to remind ourselves that we can enjoy life in a creative way. And it's just like a nudge, a reminder that, oh my gosh, I know of this and I can do it again, or just to revisit certain things that we can try out again. My number one is to do a little tea time. I really enjoy afternoon teas. I love like the British style of having tea. I just love tea altogether. I love the idea of sitting there and taking your time creating and making your tea. It just really puts you in the moment and really helps you slow down your day. So every time I go out for afternoon tea, which is once in a while, it's a very special treat for me. And I wanted to take that experience and recreate it at home so that way I can enjoy it throughout the day. So I went out and got myself a little tea set to recreate that experience. I placed it on my dining table along with some pastries once in a while, not all the time. And sometimes I invite my son to have tea with me and my boyfriend. We sit there, we just enjoy the process of adding in a little bit almond milk, 1 or 2 cubes of sugar, and just that slow process of being in the moment and enjoying tea is a very nice experience. If I want to switch it around, what I would do is try out a new tea or try out a different tea set. I do enjoy the process of making Asian tea as well. So I would switch between my little English tea set and my Asian tea set. And it's just a really nice way to enjoy the day, slow down, and just allowing yourself to process of being in the present moment. Number 2, you may think this is funny, but it is making sauerkraut. I love the idea of picking up a new skill set. And this is something that people do in the past, before we have all these comfort available to us, easy, accessible foods. People used to pickle a lot as a way of living. It's very practical and it's also delicious. So I wanted to learn something that is practical, that's a skill that will be helpful in the future for any occasion. And I love sauerkraut, and making sauerkraut was something I've always been very curious about. So I tried sauerkraut for the first time. I failed because the temperature here in SoCal is super warm, and my sauerkraut didn't go well because of that. So I'm trying it around for the second time, and I'm very determined to get it right. Even if I can't get it right this time, I really want to learn how to do that. And then next I want to get into pickling. So this is a skill that's practical and that is fun to try out. Instead of baking, where you bake all these goodies, then you eat it all and you feel super guilty, make pickles or sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is so beneficial too because it's full of probiotics. It goes through a fermentation process, and probiotics help us digest food easily if you have digestion issues. Many foods out there have probiotics, but it's not a very natural way, whereas sauerkraut, it goes through a fermentation stage, and it's super delicious to add in with your other foods. Number 3, I really enjoy the thought of putting together gift packages for people. And so I love to just think of creative ways on how I can make a gift package. Whether it be a box or a basket, I would put just random things that help me think about the person I'm giving it to, so that way they can know I'm thinking about them. And especially during this time, people out there are lonely or they're just down, and this is a great way to uplift each other. Not only are you going to uplift somebody, but you're also happy about doing this, and I get a lot of rewards from doing this as well. Just seeing or hearing my friends expression makes me happy when they receive it. So my friend just got out of a rough relationship, and I wanted to make her this love package to let her know that I love her, I'm here for her, and that I'm thinking about her. So I put together something that is customizable, things that I think she'll like and things that I think that she'll just have a good laugh at. Number 4 is a good movie night. I stopped watching television altogether. In 2018, when I got my own place, I didn't have a TV, and I love it because I was doing so much with my life, and I was just going out there trying new things because I didn't have that distraction. But this year, my boyfriend has a TV, so we end up having it in our home. But sometimes we want to sit down, we just want to relax together, and so we kind of compromise between watching something that is either educational, something that we can learn from, learning a new skill, or something that is thought-provoking or inspiring. So we usually look for content like that, or something that is uplifting. Because our brains, 95% of our brains is the subconscious brain, and then 5% is the conscious brain that we use. And the subconscious brain usually records in everything as an experience, whether it is real or not. It doesn't differentiate between that. And so whatever you watch, if you watch a violent movie, if you watch something that is just like a horror movie, your brain, your mind is recording all of that as an experience. And so sometimes I find it difficult to sleep when I'm watching something that is very stimulating to me. So I like to watch something that is lighthearted or something that is that blows my mind. Like Interstellar is a great movie about time, and it really gets you to think about a more spherical time frame than something that is linear. And I just watched Arrival for the 3rd time again, and Arrival is a movie that you have to watch more than one time to understand it or to grasp it in a new way. And this may be a spoiler to you if you haven't watched this movie and you don't want to, for me to spoil. This is your time to kind of not watch this part or skip this part. The first time you watch Arrival, you think that you're watching a story of this grieving mother who lost her daughter, and through time she just changed and evolved. The movie is constructed so that way you watch it a second time with a new perspective. This is also about time and how, as humans, we're stuck within this linear perception of time, past, present, and future. We have no memories of the future. We only can guess, or we only can want our future, our outcome. And we can only remember things from our past based on our perspective of it and what we think we remember. So we're stuck within that linear perception, that linear time frame. And throughout the movie, you see this Dr. Louise, I think that's her name. She is a great depiction of many people who are very stuck within their ways and not open to living their life to the fullest. You know, she's very closed off and she's not susceptible to change. She really has a hard time changing. And so throughout the movie, you can see how she's very resistant to it. She's very comfortable in her own ways. But because she is forced to change, like we are forced to face these challenges during this pandemic, she's forced to be in this world where all of a sudden there are aliens visiting and she has to help interpret their language. And through that process, she was given a gift of a different way to communicate versus the old way of communicating, which is a linear way of communicating and seeing things. So this new way is more of a circular way of understanding where the past, the present, and the future are all happening at once, and you have this greater understanding of how everything is intertwined and connected. So when you understand the outcome, you kind of understand the process and accept the process as it is. Basically, you come to an agreement with life and acceptance of life, of how it's supposed to work and why things work the way they work, so that way you could come to this conscious understanding. And so overall, you know, the movie really helps us grasp and also encourage us to open up our minds into a different way of living instead of just being in this bubble and perceiving everything as a challenge. It also kind of reminds us that no matter what, we all know that in the end, we're all going to die. It's an undeniable thing that's going to happen as humans. But the best that we can do is live our life to the fullest. And that is something that I think is a beautiful, beautiful message. That's something that we can do more often, is just live our life to the fullest. Number 5, I've been selling a lot of my things. But since I have time now, I gave it a try, and it's so much more helpful than donating. Like, I try to donate things whenever I can, but now that we're limited to what we can do and some places don't take donation, I have no other option but to either sell them or kind of like post them online as free things. And so that's what I've been doing, is decluttering in a way where I can also get paid for people to pick up my stuff. So I've been decluttering in that way, knowing that, or with the idea that I will potentially move out of California soon. It's just a very rewarding feeling to feel like you're part of this coexistence of reduce, reuse, and recycle. And I love the fact that we're kind of doing that by buying things that are used and also selling things instead of throwing them in landfills. Number 6, as you can see behind me, I got back into painting. If you are a longtime follower, you would probably know that I used to do painting tutorials, but then I just lost that excitement in me. I didn't feel creative and I didn't feel like I can paint. I was doing it all for fun, but then all of a sudden it just like came to me in the past couple weeks, and I started painting again, and I like felt so inspired. And you know, these are the recent paintings that I've been working on, but I feel like if you're curious about it, go ahead and do it. Don't expect anything to come out of it. And when you do expect something to come out of it, then what you're going to face is a lot of discouragement, because you set a certain expectation for yourself. And if you don't meet that expectation, then you're going to feel discouraged. But sometimes you can surprise yourself when you allow yourself to just do it without that expectation. So abstract painting is something I highly recommend for you if you feel like you don't know anything about art, if you don't have that creative flow, you feel like you can't paint a certain object or anything real. Abstract art is a fun way to let yourself just flow with being creative. You know, you don't have to paint anything to look realistic. You just allow yourself to just swatch out paint and see where it takes you, and until you're happy with it. So it's mostly experimental. You just like do different swatches, different brushes, different colors, and you'll get there. So that's what I did. I never really dabbled into abstract art before, you know. I would try it and I'm just like, I don't get it. It's just like splashes of paint, whatever. But then I feel like all of a sudden I caught it. It's just like, whatever, it depends on the viewer. Whatever you see is basically what's going on in your life and in your mind. So anyone who sees that will see it as something different than what I see it as. So it really brings out like certain emotions, and it provokes something different within everyone. And that's what I love about it so much, is that there's no one absolute way, you know? It's just infinite possibilities depending on what and how people perceive it. So those are some things that I've been doing to help me not just cope, but help me expand the way that I am living today and how to adjust to change. It's not always an easy ride. It's a pretty rough roller coaster. I go through many different emotions, but if I allow myself to adjust to a new way of living and try out different things, then I know that I am living my life the best way that I can. And I encourage that for you too. So thank you so much for watching and joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you do, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you've been doing to kind of like cope, or new things that you've been picking up this strange year.